Hey everyone, Courtney Zenz here, and welcome to the Packing Your Pipeline training. I'm your host, and I'm going to take you today on a journey to learn all about web and data scraping and how you can turn it into lead lists and lead list building. Data scraping is the technical term, but it really is lead generation. Imagine going to a conference and knowing exactly what booths you want to stop by and exactly who you want to have conversations with, or getting a targeted list of the exact practitioner or referral partner that you want to talk to, who you might potentially be able to collaborate with in your business. People spend countless hours wasted trying to do this manually, and I can do it for so many of my clients in a matter of minutes. And today, I'm going to show you exactly how I do that. So let's dive in. First and foremost, I'll give you a bit of my background. I spent 15 plus years in corporate marketing and sales operations and enablement. I worked to help reps in the sales role make more money. And by them making more money, I made more money and everybody was happy. I then began my own consulting journey about 10 years ago, and I realized the same tool that I had back in my corporate days, I could actually leverage for my current consulting agency and my team of sleep consultants who needed new and unique contacts across the parenting realm, whether it was pediatricians or chiropractors or daycare centers, so they could expand their footprint within their geographic area. Alongside of that, I had businesses coming to me asking, how do you do this? And then asking if I would do it for them. And that's really how I got into teaching web and data scraping and helping customers to be so much more efficient and effective. Their pipelines were packed. They always had somebody to call, and you always had somebody converting into a new relationship, a new sale, or new targeted competitive intelligence, which I'm going to show you a little bit more about right now. So I want to start with the term web scraping. I know for many of you who are here, it might be a new terminology. It is really the automated process of extracting data from various websites. It's publicly available information, but instead of you manually having to sit and write things down or sit and copy and paste off of the internet into a Google Sheet, the systems that web scraping supports allow you to grab and analyze a variety of different information and put it into a clean and easy Excel spreadsheet. So it content aggregates things like pricing and lead list building, referrals, engagement, nurtures, and best practice sharing, or even competitive intelligence, which is always my favorite because we're always going to have competition and we always have to be thinking one step ahead. So I get the question a lot around, is web scraping legal? Well, yes, but with conditions. You see, there's millions of websites, and where you're capturing the data from, you have to make sure that you're complying with the unique terms of service that the websites have. So all websites have a terms of service page, and you can go out and understand what that type of data is that you're trying to capture and whether or not you are allowed to extract the data. So here are a couple examples of the different sites within a company that would talk to you about the data protection and privacy so you can make sure that all the web scraping you're doing is legal. It does require careful consideration to make sure you're following the terms of service and the ethical guidelines for those websites. And this is a slide from my attorney with our legal disclaimer, because what I'm sharing with you is for educational purposes only. So I just want to make sure you understand that when we dive in next and I show you all the great things you can do with web and data scraping. First and foremost, you do not need to have a technical background. I have been doing this for over 15 years, and yes, there are plenty of data scraping and web scraping technologies out there that require you to know code and H-references and understand how to manipulate information in a more technical capacity to yield results. I'm going to tell you, I'm not that techie. I'm pretty good. I can build a website. I can do a lot of competitive intelligence and data mining. I don't know code other than adding a simple caret or an extra space when necessary. So no, you don't always need a technical background. If you find the right tool, like the one I use, you have different choices for drag and drop interfaces, point and click selectors, automatic data mapping, pre-configured tasks, and automated workflows. What does that mean? The system does the crazy technical stuff for you. You say, I want this information. It says, okay, great, I'll get it for you. And here are the results. Now, don't get me wrong. There are times when it takes me a little bit longer to build a specific data scrape, but it's probably because I'm looking for something very specific. And maybe it has multiple pages, or it's an exact URL of something I'm trying to capture, like an upcoming event, and I want to grab the exhibitor list. And within the exhibitor list, I want to grab the attendee's name and their email and their address and their phone number and all the data that is provided within their listing, like their booth number. So sometimes it does take a little bit of finagling, and even for somebody who's done this for 15 years, I have to mess around a bit sometimes with it. But 9 times out of 10, there are beautiful templates that I use that are already pre-configured, that are already pre-coded. So you do not need to have any technical background to be able to do this. And my friends, let me tell you, the results are amazing. I once was on a call with a new potential partner in the pediatric sleep coaching side of my business, not the business consulting side of my business. And she's coming out with a new product, and it is an app that is targeted for OBGYNs. She happens to be doing a test pilot in the greater Boston area. And we were just talking casually, and she doesn't know I knew how to do this. And I said, well, who's your ideal market once everything is ready to go? And she's like, oh, well, it's OBGYNs. And I was like, oh, well, I know how to do this really cool thing. What if I built you a list of all the OBGYNs in the greater Boston area? Anywhere else you want? And so we picked 2 or 3 cities, and I built these lists for her, and I handed them over, and she was like blown away by just the sheer, number 1, amount of information, number 2, comprehensive list that I was able to provide with the phone number and the address and the emails and the websites. And it's all publicly available information, but in a matter of minutes, I could put it into an Excel spreadsheet and say, hey, here's all 2,000 OBGYNs in Massachusetts. And she was like, this is the craziest thing I've ever seen, but thank you so much. So the power of what you can do with a tool like this, when you really get into your business mind and start going, oh my gosh, this part of my day would be so much easier. Oh my gosh, this competitive intelligence would be so much easier. This outreach, this pipeline stuffing, right, would all be so much easier if I just understood how to do it. There are a lot of different use cases for a tool like this. So it's not just taking something as simple as listings on Google Maps and aggregating them into a spreadsheet. Yes, you can absolutely do that, but this goes beyond that. So I want you to think about next level type of information that you could be gathering off of so many different websites. And I'm going to share a few examples with you here today so you better understand what I'm talking about. Referral partner lists. So for example, if I knew that I worked really well with marriage therapists, because if your children aren't sleeping, it can tend to lead to a stressful marriage, I might want every marriage therapist in Westchester, Pennsylvania, right? And I could build referral relationships that says, hey, when I'm dealing with somebody on my end of the business who might be struggling in their marriage, I could refer them to you. And when you're dealing with a married couple who might be having sleep issues with their children, you can refer them to me. And so we build these collaborative referral relationships that go bi-directionally with various practitioners in the field of our vertical. Sometimes I'll go out to different exhibitions. There's a huge show that happens in Vegas every single year, and every baby product is there. And it's the show you want to be at. And I could easily this year go out and capture the entire list of attendees in about 35 seconds. And I aggregated it into an Excel spreadsheet, probably took me another minute. And then I went in and I said, these are the people in yellow that I want to talk to. So I had a plan going into the event of exactly what booths I really cared about and which ones I could say skip because they weren't relevant to what I was trying to talk about. So it made the day at the event much more organized. I could leave notes within each of the different fields within the cells. And then I had a really active worksheet at the end of the webinar or at the end of the exhibition, whether it's virtual or in person, that I could work off of. So it was a really cool way to do this with both virtual conferences and with in-person conferences. The next, targeted messaging. I could go in and I could look on different message boards, and I could try to capture keywords. Let's say I was looking to come out with a new tool for cleaning my child's car seat because it's gross. I could go into these different social boards and message threads, and I could put in a query to say, give me every conversation ever on cleaning a child's car seat, or meatloaf recipes, or ballast water management solutions. You name it, you determine the keywords. And then the system itself that I use gives me all the messages. So I can go in and authentically provide quality education and support. It then gives me clout because I'm answering their question and I'm doing so as the expert. And then that thread lives on and on. So other people find me, they see my response, they go, hey, who are you? And we are watching this happen in real time right now in my own Google Analytics every single month, as we begin to focus in more of these message boards and chat communities. You can do a ton of market research. You can scrape reviews on specific products, see for keywords. You can look for buyer feedback. So maybe as you're doing product design, you want to understand where customers may or may not be happy with a specific product. You can do this obviously for a ton of lead generation in a variety of different information based on what you're trying to capture. So you can be scraping conversation chats, you can be scraping social platforms, e-commerce solutions, you name it, the world really becomes your oyster. Sometimes I'll go out and scrape practitioners with a specific certification. So I go to the certification website and I go, give me everybody who's certified as this thing. And then I scrape them. And then I outreach and I go, hey, you're a part of this particular group. And I love working with this particular group. Would love to schedule a 15-minute coffee chat to learn more about how we could work together. Unlimited leads in the world once you understand the power of a tool like this. And finally, recruitment and hiring. I've had several friends, unfortunately, who over the past few months have lost their jobs, but they were looking across very, very long lists of thousands and thousands of jobs just to try to find exactly what they were looking for. And it became a bit paralyzing for them. And I could go into various different job platforms and I could say, give me every healthcare marketing job where you make over 150 grand a year and I want the job to be remote, build my list. And I was able to share lists with my friends and peers to say, hey, I hope this helps in your journey, but think about the power when you can do that stuff within these different platforms. There are so many examples, but these are just a few that I use every day in my business. To break it down a little bit further, you can use a tool like I do for market research. You can look at for testing strategies and brainstorming. You can understand, again, what your competitors are doing, feedback, posts, reviews, trending pain points, preferences. Tons of information is available right out there in the public domain. You can look for brainstorming ideas. What about your next 2.0 version of your product? What do people like? What do they not necessarily like? And there are so many cool things that you can do by trying to gather that market research and by testing what you're finding to tailor your approaches to whatever it is you're brainstorming. And it could be how to hire a specific position or how to make a product better or how to provide a blue ocean opportunity in a service for one of your clients who wants to launch a new service provider business. There's so much cool stuff you can do even within the realm of market research. And finally, testing. You can test, you can test, you can test. You can look for ways in which to define clear and actionable objectives. And you can make sure that you understand, based on what's happening out in the market, that your strategy for go-to-market is working. So you've got market research, brainstorming ideas, and testing strategies out here with all these different tools that are available within the solution that I use. Now we have Neem here. He was looking for actually comic books and he wanted to know every single seller on a very popular platform where he could see who was selling the comic book, for how much they were selling it for, what the listing was, because his end game was actually reaching out to appropriate comic book owners or comic book houses, right? The businesses that sell comic books, to be able to work with them on a product he developed that was a complementary solution to their traditional selling channel. And I was able to do that for him and provide over 5,000 results for him. And it took a couple hours to run this massive run. And that one was a little more customized, but it was so cool to see the results and the huge problem I solved in one day that he has been working on for months and months and months. You can search by keywords. Maybe you have a product that works in direct conjunction with making meatloaf. So maybe it's a product that allows you to easily get the meatloaf out of the pan without breaking your beautiful meatloaf up. And you want to go in and you want to engage mindfully on all these different chats around meatloaf recipes and talk about your amazing product and how it might help within the space of meatloaf recipes. You can look at website data. Sometimes I go to different chambers of commerce or active association listings and I grab all the members and then I try to thoughtfully, one at a time, reach out where appropriate to those folks to see if there's a way that we can collaborate and connect. And I do it in such an easy way that I'm not spending hours just rummaging around social media trying to find people to build thoughtful and meaningful relationships. You can capture reviews, and the system allows you to grab information from companies like Amazon, where you can see all the different reviews and the ASIN numbers for those specific products, and then do that competitive intelligence and data mining. There is a lot you can do with this tool, and it's important that you take your time and explore your use cases. We talked about monthly lead list generation. We talked a little bit about one-off scrape requests. We've talked a bit about business intelligence for retainer clients, people that pay me every month to give them leads so their sales reps have people to call on, and it is very lucrative. I do corporate data analytics. There is so much cool stuff you can do within your business or within the expansion of the services that you offer in your agency. You have to look at who you're trying to find and what you want to know about them. So when you're beginning your web scraping journey, it's important first to identify, are you targeting small businesses and you want to focus on something like Google Maps? Are you launching a product and you want to understand reviews to make sure you take into account customer preferences? Or does your product support a unique niche like pruning a blackberry bush? And you can engage thoroughly in those conversations with what you're trying to do and do it in a streamlined capacity. That's what we're trying to do here. Help you define the vertical, help you define the geolocation, help you define the data that you need so that your target list is here and you have the ability to capture and grab that information. So again, whether it's Google Maps or LinkedIn or conference attendees or anything out there in the template library that they're continuing to add to, you have the ability to define your target. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. When you have your first part done, which is where you understand who and what you want to know, you then have to figure out how you're going to do it. So these are just a few of the templates that are out there. There's a ton more. E-commerce, lead gen, social media, real estate, you name it, they are out there, and the world is your oyster. So for example, pediatricians in Chicago, they get exported into an easy-to-use spreadsheet for you to take that information and disseminate to either your team or to use for yourself. And it is so much data. You do have to clean the data. When the data comes out in Excel, sometimes there's fields that are blank or empty. Some real world examples, which I wanted to share with you just to make it a little more clear here about what we're doing. We're taking, in this case, a Google map of a whole bunch of things that, yes, you could manually write down over 8 hours and probably get 60 of them written down. Or in a matter of 2 minutes, you could build a list of several hundred, in this case, marriage counselors in Dallas, Texas. You can look at every job for founding designers in the United States, and all of those jobs come up, and I can easily download them right onto a spreadsheet in a matter of minutes. I can look at Reddit and I could say, hey, give me every thread on sleep regressions. And then I could put them into an Excel spreadsheet and I can quickly and easily go out and engage in those posts because those posts are viewed over and over and over. Do you see how powerful this is? What a cool technology. And here we have an exhibitor listing. This one happens to be for a conference that was taking place in Hamburg, Germany. Somebody hired me to scrape this list for them, and I provided them with the name of the company, with the actual booth number, and then all of the available information on the company that I could capture. And this is all done in a non-technical way, my friends. The opportunities here are endless for any vertical, any job, any position. You have the ability to do lead generation, to data mine into social media, real estate, jobs, look at Google Maps, review and quickly streamline through reviews, grab directory information. I mean, the leads that you can build from this are insane. This is fire. This is the example that I did the other day of someone who was looking for the nonprofits in DC. That's all he needed to say. This is fire. And it was for him. Think about how much time it saved him. And when the data comes out, I basically clean it up and I put it into Excel. I manipulate it how I want to. And then I schedule different things like automatic running or automatic routing, because you can send it to third-party companies as well. So you can push it through Zapier to a third-party system. You can automatically push the information out to Google Sheets so your team can actively begin working on it. There's so much cool next level stuff you can do here, and I am excited to show you how. When you get the data, you have to outreach. You have to reach those people and say, hey, I've got this, you need it, let's connect. So building those connections, whether it's at a conference or whether it's via email, helping people understand what I do. I build lead lists so that your reps can work smarter, not harder, right? I'm using different connections that I make to help with things like competitive intelligence or new referral partnerships. I leverage the power of AI. I don't waste time trying to handwrite an email. I'm like, hey, give me an email that tells me I'm Courtney and I'm awesome and I want to engage with these particular people. And AI spits it out for me, exactly what I'm trying to say. And I could take that email and I could drop it in my mail sender, and I send them one at a time thoughtfully so I don't get yelled at for sending too many emails. You have to make people aware of who you are and what you do, and this is a really easy way to do it. These customized lists make growing my referral network 1000% easier. It's amazing the time savings versus manually doing this off the search engine. Thank you. This is Missy. She's in Canada. And the awesome part about this is it works all over the world and it captures things all over the world. So you can build lists all over. And it is just so cool to see it come to fruition. I am so much more prepared with a plan of who I want to meet and where they're located at the trade show. Before, I would just walk around aimlessly. It's right here now, and I'm ready to build strategic connections. How powerful is that? The doors are open to Prospecting Power Hour. I invite you to jump in and walk through exactly how I do this in the system so you can step by step follow me through the process of building an unlimited amount of lists. Let me show you my exact system, the exact process, and I'm going to help you to pack your pipeline month after month for you and for your clients. So my name's Courtney Zentz. Thanks so much for tuning in. I invite you to jump in and join our Prospecting Power Hour or learn more at CourtneyZentz.com. Thanks so much for tuning in, and bye for now.